All right, we're live. So welcome back to Dapp University. So today we got a lot to talk about in our live stream. So one of the first things I'm sure it's on pretty much everybody's mind is like, hey, what's going on with the crypto markets? I'm seeing this all over line. People are kind of freaking out about the, crypto dump that we've seen over the past day or so. So I'm gonna tell you what I think about that in this video, whether you should worry or not. Okay, we're gonna look at that. We're gonna look at a lot of other news updates that have happened in the space since our live stream yesterday. Again, we do these live streams Monday through Friday in this channel about 9:30 a.m. Central Time. Just turn on notifications down below. Subscribe. You'll find out about those whenever we go live. You can also follow me on Twitter. I usually post a live stream link there right before we go live. Sometimes we ask questions about, hey, what do you want to talk about? So if you want to get in on that, then definitely follow me there too. So before we get into that, if you're new around here, hey, I'm Gregory, and on this channel, I turn you into a blockchain master. So if that's something that you're interested in, then smash that like button down below for the YouTube algorithm and subscribe to this channel. And if you want to learn how to master blockchain step-by-step, start to finish, then head on over to dappuniversity.com/bootcamp to get started today. Last but not least, like nothing I'm saying in this video is designed to be financial advice, and there's lots of scammers down in the comment section below. Just ignore them. Like, I'll never give you my phone number or ask you to invest with me. That's crazy. Okay, so we got people jumping in the chat here. We got Culture, David Stone, Crypto Lee, Ben, Lee, Robert, Anthony, Alden. Welcome. All right, so let's go ahead and jump into this. So like I was saying before, one of the first things that I'm sure is on everybody's mind as they're looking at the crypto markets is like, hey, what's going on here? Why is everything just absolutely, tanking? Like, why are we seeing prices go down like this, okay? So I'll give you some thoughts on this. First thing I'll say is this. If you've been tracking with me in the live streams over the past couple weeks, I've been saying that, it's kind of just a matter of time before we start to see some correction of some kind, right? That's been pretty much an up-only mode for quite some time now. And I've seen a lot of, we've seen this crypto social sentiment for the Bitcoin Fear and Greed Index be at extreme greed. And I'm like, hey, pretty much every time this happens, we're going to see something, not desirable happen sooner rather than later. I'm just if I can even just pull up the tweet here. So let's see here. This is on my Twitter from November 9th. So that was, not that long ago. 7 days ago, is that right? So basically a week ago, we were in the extreme greed and I was like, this is not sustainable. So I think that's what we're seeing right now, okay? Talking about whether you should worry on a big picture grand scheme of things, well, I'll always say, it's a couple things. Number one is nobody's got a crystal ball and knows exactly what's going to happen, all right, for sure. You always have to think about these things in terms of likelihood. And what am I personally doing? So me personally, I'm not really worried. If you look at the Bitcoin price throughout the beginning, like if you look earlier this year in Bitcoin's initial rise, and we had several just huge blowups along the way, all right? And this is kind of like, this is not even really close to the magnitude of those dumps in terms of percentage blowups, okay? Now, the opposite opinion is, well, or actually expanding that view could be this is just the beginning and we could be dumping farther from here. That's also very possible. But big picture, like, do I think that dump is like a deal breaker for the bull market, so to speak? No, I definitely don't think so. And at least at this point, we don't have any good indication to think that that's the case. And I don't think it's super likely that we would slide into a bull market ending dump. So why is that? Well, it's just like everything I always say on this channel. It's just the adoption is crazy. We're seeing the price, in my opinion, mirror the adoption of what's happening with cryptocurrencies, actually underpinning fundamental value of a lot of important cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin as an inflation hedge, store of value, all those types of things. ETH as, what ETH is for the Ethereum network. We're seeing Ethereum, the amount of activity on Ethereum continue to trend up over time, innovation continuing to take off, other L1s doing similar types of things. There's a lot of fundamental adoption happening that would support the fundamental prices of some of these cryptocurrencies. Now, can they go through bubblish periods where they might blow up along the way? Of course they can. But in terms of some of these blowups, ending the trend that we see in play, I don't have any good reason to think that that's the case. So that being said, we could always have some sort of black swan event that coincides with this dump. But like I said, you always have to think about this in terms of likelihood. That seems just very, very, very unlikely. And the amount of times that you could accurately predict something like that happening before it does, that affects like everything, like an entire asset class or an entire economy or something like that. The number of times people correctly predict that thing over the past 100 years, you could probably just count on one hand, right? And almost everybody who tries to is just dead wrong. Even people who've done it in the past once successfully before continue to tout false prophecies that never come true later. So that's what I would say about that. So that's just my opinion. As always, not financial advice. I'm not telling you to go in here and slurp up the dip, buy the dip or anything like that. That's not because I don't think the prices would increase, but mostly because I'm just not going to give financial advice. There's lots of ways you could still lose money by not costing your crypto properly or just paper handing when things fall. So that's a big reason why I'm not going to do that. I'm not personally buying the dip, mostly because, I've done a lot of my buying already and just don't feel the need to. So not selling anything either. Okay, so let's go ahead and jump into a lot of other news that's happened in the space since yesterday. One thing that's pretty interesting that I saw come up that's actually pretty interesting. This is something that's interesting. That's pretty interesting. This is interesting, though. So basically, a metric that I saw floating around is the ETH free float on exchange is totally nuked in addition to this, coinciding with this price dump from 11.9% to 10.2%, all right, from Glassnode data. All right, so basically when the dip gets bought, there won't be much ETH left to buy. Okay, so here's the ETH basically supply on exchanges, and it dropped significantly here, close to 10%, all right, so basically, a lot of ETH is not for sale, and a lot less ETH is for sale. And so what happens to that? Well, it creates a supply shock for ETH. People try to go buy it. And that's another fundamental reason why I think that the Ethereum price is going to continue to go up, is the scarcity. So basically, when you combine the adoption of the Ethereum network, which is still trending upward, and then the economics of ETH basically changing in favor of scarcity, and then other fundamental properties like ETH on exchanges dropping, ETH getting locked up in DeFi, ETH getting locked up in staking for ETH 2.0. There's just no scenario in which that doesn't turn into price appreciation. Okay, so let's actually just look at some of those things one by one real quick. So we can look at the ETH being burnt, right? So ETH being burnt is basically the inflation rate has reduced down to 0.3% a year because the network activity is increasing. If you if you've been watching me check these metrics throughout our live streams, like this percentage increase keeps dropping, like trending downward over time. Okay. Basically, because we implemented EIP 1559, now we're burning ETH and new transactions are created, and like we're almost down to flat, like net neutral issuance. Okay, now whenever we go to ETH 2, this is going to be minus 4% almost per year. All right, so this number has also gotten bigger because when we go to ETH 2.0, the issuance is going to drop significantly, and assuming the network activity stays the same, which is probably just going to continue to increase from here. There are scenarios where this could be like double-digit deflation, at least for periods of time. All right, you can see the amount of ETH getting burnt per block, 4 ETH per block, 4 ETH per block. Right, these are deflationary blocks. This is deflationary. Like almost all these blocks are deflationary except this one and this one. So, like that's an example. Let's just look at. Let's look at some more metrics about the economics here that'll help support what I'm talking about. All right, because we saw that metric a minute ago about the ETH on exchanges has been dropping. But like I was saying before, it's not just about ETH on exchanges dropping, to support the supply shock, because part of it, when you see ETH supply on exchanges dropping, part of it is we have decentralized exchanges on ETH and more ways to use your ETH off of an exchange compared to other cryptocurrencies. And so, you have to kind of read into that metric. It's not, people might still be trading ETH, but they just might not be doing it on a centralized exchange. They might be doing it on a DEX, swapping it from their stable coin, swapping it from the ERC20 token of some kind. All right, so you always have to read into that, but you can counter it with other metrics. All right, we can look at this, ETH supply and smart contracts. It's just gone up like crazy in 2021. I saw a little bit of a peak out right here, but let's just look to see what's going on here. All right, so we have, we're over a quarter of the ETH supplies in smart contracts. So some of that's going to be in, DeFi. All right, some of that's going to be in the ETH 2.0 merge. ETH 2.0 beacon chain. All right, that's going to get locked up for staking. So a quarter of the ETH supplies in smart contracts, and 10% is on cryptocurrency exchanges. All right, so basically only 10% is for sale. A quarter of it's being productive, and ostensibly the rest is being held in wallets, being traded around, all that type of stuff on chain. We could look at other metrics like supply and wallets, ETH that hasn't moved in 30 days, 60 days, 90 days, but I'll just leave you with those basic indicators. Somebody says ETH 2.0 comes with proof of stake, dude. What did I say? I mean, I know ETH 2.0 comes with proof of stake. I'm not sure if I said something wrong. The tone of that comment, dude. So I just didn't know if there's I said something stupid and you felt good about correcting me. So I don't know what it was. Is there a fee difference between swapping a stable and buying a stable? So it depends. If you swap to stable from ETH the first time, there's no approval transaction. But if you swap from stable to ETH for the first time, you have to approve and then swap. So that's inherently going to be more expensive. Okay, so all right, so one thing that's also pretty interesting is I've talked about this some before, but I thought this is a pretty cool thread to check out which is basically one of the coolest things I like about blockchain is there's so many different ways. Like once you get in and you understand how blockchain works and you actually acquire the technical skills to be able to do things with blockchain, there's so many different ways that you can make money with that skill, right? So if you understand how to create smart contracts and how to do things with them. I mean, even for people who just want to get in and do DeFi, do NFTs, and get into crypto as an advanced user, that skill is going to help you tremendously. But when you become an actual developer, of course, there's all kinds of ways to make money. You can, get a regular job. That's the kind of the traditional route. You can become a freelancer. It's a little less traditional, but a very similar type way of making money. But you can also build your own projects, right? You can build your own DeFi projects. You can, create your own bots. You can do all this type of stuff. And another example of this that I want to throw out to you, I saw yesterday, it was pretty cool. We've talked about this before, kind of explored it inside the blockchain mastery program too, but this is a thread that I figured I would share. So basically, it's about Yearn Finance strategies. So what is that? So Yearn Finance is an app that does yield farming, but basically chooses the best yield for you. So what do I mean by that? So basically, one of the things about DeFi is liquidity mining or yield farming, they can be two different things depending on how you get the yield. So if you go deposit, stable cryptocurrency like DAI into an app and then you're earning percentage back in DAI, let's say 5%, that's better than your bank account in most cases. That's, that's yield farming. You're trying to find the best yield. That's the farming part. You're farming the yield. And then you can get bonus tokens on top of that, maybe that the protocol basically gives you. I would consider that more the liquidity mining incentive, because you're providing liquidity in exchange for something new. I guess you could say that denominated in the same currency. There's so many blurry lines, right? Maybe somebody's got a better explanation of what the technical difference is. Anyways, I don't want to spend all day on that. But anyways, but the problem with these apps is the yields change all the time. So let's use two common examples. Like if you wanted to use compound finance in Aave, for example, that provide yield, there's going to be some discrepancies. Like you might get 3% on DAI on one app and 5% on another. And you're like, okay, well, I want to use the 5% one, but 8 hours later, those might change, because it's based on supply and demand. It's based on markets. So you have an app like Yearn come into play that tries to maximize the yields and just find the best yield for you, because you could write your own bot, sit there and do that, or just watch it manually and try to change it yourself, but there's going to be gas fees associated with it. So when you pool people's funds together and you can have one app that sort of distributes the fees across everybody moving their funds, that's kind of what Yearn does. And so these intelligent ways that it finds the ability to maximize yield, those are strategies. You can actually create strategies for the protocol itself. And it's an open source project, and so you can develop your own strategies. It's a governed by a token, so people vote on what strategies they want to include in the protocol. So you as a developer can actually create strategies that maximizes yield for the app. You can build it, and you can try to submit it, and if it gets passed, then you get a performance fee. So that's what I'm going to go over here. So strategies in Yearn, a thread. So Yearn has $4 billion in their V2 vaults, and anyone can code a strategy and earn 10% of the profits. There is no interview process. Just create the strategy and follow the steps. So how do you automatically get a strategy to prod and scale to $100 million? So find a big farm. Find farms that can safely take over $100 million is hard. Yield normally comes from governance token farming. When we add our funds, we dilute the distribution. So if APR is 100%, there's 10 million there already. Adding another 90 million will crush the yield to 10% APR. So basically, you can just see how he goes through this strategy and what you can do with it. So maybe I'll make an extended video actually talking about this and how you can get started, creating these strategies to earn this passive income. But this is a pretty amazing example and a pretty detailed thread on what you could do with your blockchain skills. Whether you can just code something, never interview for a job, and then just make passive income. So I put a link to that tweet thread in the live chat replay for full credit on the source. Let's see here. Somebody says, what about Shiba Inu? I'm actually curious what's going on with Shiba Inu. So it doesn't look like it's doing great. Yeah, I mean, I don't have any predictions on what's going to happen with Shiba Inu. So it says Shiba's holding. Somebody says a blockchain company CityDAO buys 40 acres in Park County, Wyoming. It's a real clash of Web3 and real estate. So definitely check out. I'm going to create a video this week, probably talking about sort of Web3 and crypto cities, because there's actually a blog post put out by Vitalik Buterin about this. Let me just pull it up here. All right. Talking about this idea. And so somebody in the live chat mentioned the CityDAO acquiring property in Wyoming. So, the main idea here is that, cities, basically, blockchain has the potential to disrupt and change so many things that we know and use today, just like the internet did, right? Like, real estate's no exception. Like how buying behavior has changed because of the internet with real estate, for sure. People do most of their window shopping for real estate online with Zillow, Redfin, others, right? If you work with a realtor, like, you get MLS notifications over email, like just automated, just spammed out to you, basically. So all that has changed with the internet, and blockchain has the potential to change that too. So it's not just real estate, but that's one example of how it can change things at the local level. And crypto has the potential to disrupt and change, cities that we live our daily lives in, day in, day out. It has the potential to change your digital life, or how you interact with people online, which is a growing trend, that more and more people are spending more of their life online in a digital way. But it also has the potential to disrupt everything you do around you. So what are some of the ways that can happen? Well, real estate, like this person's talking about, at a city level, you're just actual currency, your legal tender. We saw Miami coin basically providing yield to people who are mining it, and that yield being paid out in Bitcoin. What can you do with NFTs at a local level? Voting, any type of public record that needs to be kept transparent and fraud proof can be put on chain. There's so many ways that blockchain can totally change how we operate at a local level. And that the real estate, like this person was asking, is no exception. And so we have seen experimented that with CityDAO purchasing property in Wyoming. Wyoming, I hope I'm getting this right, is like one of the first states, if not the first state, to let DAOs be recognized as LLCs. So that actually changes the game to where a DAO could do things like own property and have lots of different benefits and legal power, or I don't know what you'd say, legal rights that LLCs can have, right? Or just unlock new abilities rather than just own crypto assets. You can own physical assets, and the DAO could control what happens to those things. So it's pretty crazy. Somebody says Wyoming's the first to allow DAOs. Yeah, I think so. Is it true that ETH gas fees will never become reasonable even after ETH 2.0? So ETH 2.0 is not going to fix ETH gas fees, but layer 2 scaling solutions are what do that, and we have those now, and they are widely adopting. You can check on that, l2beat.com. So basically, this is creating a second environment where you can do transactions off the base Ethereum chain, and the final result of those transactions gets settled back on the chain. So the main ones you want to watch out for right now in terms of general purpose L2s are definitely Optimism, Arbitrum, and then also those are optimistic rollups, and then the zero knowledge based solutions are starting to grow rapidly, like ZK Sync is a great example of that too. So this is what Ether flip Bitcoin. I do think it's very possible. I don't know. I would put less than a 50% chance of it happening this year. For sure. We don't have much this year left. I do think it's very possible for the long term, simply because more utility value of Ethereum, the network itself, in terms of the number of use cases. Now, it's still smaller than the Bitcoin network, But it's growing rapidly, right? And it just stands to reason if you take my fundamental investment thesis, which is basically, as you create technology that has real utility, that creates demand for the technology, right? And insofar as cryptocurrency is linked, is integrated into that in an inextricable way, like that the value is going to accrue to the cryptocurrencies itself as that technology takes off, and typically in an exponential way. So if there's more that you can do with ETH, if you can use it to stake, you can use it to pay for transactions, you can lock it up in DeFi. If 10% of the supply is on exchange and is trending downward, like there's no reason to think that it won't continue to outpace the growth of Bitcoin like it is, and therefore flip Bitcoin. Now, if it did, kind of soon, then I wouldn't think it would stick permanently. But I do think there is a future where ETH could be like the #1 cryptocurrency by market cap. And like I said, everything is about likelihood, in my opinion. I think that is a very possible, somewhat likely scenario. I don't think it's a sure thing, and I don't think it's a pipe dream. It's on the likely side of things. All right, everybody, that's all I got for today. As always, smash that like button down below for the YouTube algorithm. Subscribe to this channel if you haven't already. That really helps these videos out so that more people can learn about blockchain. And if you're as fast at this technology as I am, you want to get your hands dirty, how can you get started today? Well, you go to my YouTube homepage. You can find my free courses there. They're like Udemy courses, but they're totally free. And if you like those and you want to take the next step, or hey, maybe you want to take a master's shortcut entirely, I can show you become a blockchain master step-by-step start to finish over at dappuniversity.com/bootcamp. You don't have to be an expert to get started today. I've helped people with zero coding experience become real-world blockchain developers in a matter of months. So that's all I've got. Until next time, thanks for watching.